Welcome everybody, and welcome to the councillors, the staff, the media, to the council meeting held on the 26th of June 2024, the last council meeting for this financial year. I'll call for apologies, and I have one apology from Councillor Ellis. Everyone else is here. Move in a second for that, please. Move Councillor Cameron, second Councillor Brum. All in favour, please say aye. Carried. Any extraordinary business? I know of none. No. Declarations of interest in today's agenda? No. Confirmation of the minutes on page 4. So, any alterations or additions on page 4 and 5? Page 6, 7, page 8. No, someone like to move that we be taken as read and confirmed. Councillor Cameron, Councillor McMillan, all in favour please say aye. Against, carried. Next item number 5, extraordinary council meeting. On page 9, any alterations or additions? Page 10, page 11, page 12, 13, 14 and 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 and 20. Councillor Cameron.
Are we on page 15? I thought we've got here Arts, Culture and Heritage Strategy. I thought we didn't put that in. I thought we said it was business as usual. I actually think you made that comment, Neil. Page 15.
15 under...
The resolution does not include.
Very poor reading on my part. Thank you.
You sure? It includes 20,000.
Sorry, there's an error.
Mine says does not.
Oh, this here says includes. But the...
There's an error beside the first motion if there was lost.
Yeah, quite correct. There's an amendment there.
I'll amend it.
There's an amendment there. So go down to the
That's one I'm reading.
amendment, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
So they can't both be carried then?
No.
Yeah. So the first motion was lost, so the carried needs to change. Thanks for that. Yep. Someone like to move and second
I'll
is true
move.
and accurate. Councillor McMillan, Councillor Brum, all in favour, please say aye. Carried. And just think, it's a big agenda today, and there's something like 600 or 700 pages. I do have a printed copy of the important stuff. All the appendixes I'm working on the screen, so I'm trying to keep up as you go as well. So there may be some delays as we're heading through. Hopefully not, but be warned that it's a big agenda and it's working on 2 pieces of equipment here to get through it. So item number 6 is the Methven Community Board. And we receive those minutes.
I'll move we receive them.
Councillor McMillan, Councillor Lovett. Any discussion on those minutes? Not, I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Item number 7 is the Road Safety Coordinating Committee. And we received those minutes. Someone like to move? Councillor Hooper, Councillor Brum. Any discussion on it? If not, I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Carried. Item number 8, Audit and Risk Committee. We'll receive those minutes.
Mr. Mayor, just a question. Were you present at that meeting? You're not on there and you're,
Road
I
Safety.
can't see.
12th of June. I can check where I was on the 12th of June. Yes, I was here. Yeah, I was present. So I'll add my name to those who are present. Councillor Cameron.
I'll move the minutes, please.
Councillor Cameron moved, and looking for a seconder, Councillor Lovett.
No, I was there. I was present too at the meeting.
Oh, it's not recorded there that you were there? In attendance, okay. Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the audit and risk minutes? If not, all in favour, please say aye. Gets carried. Heritage Working Group. We do have a recommendation in there, but we'll receive the minutes first. Councillor Cameron moved, Councillor Todd seconded. Any discussion on those minutes? If not, I'll put the recommendation. All in favour, please say aye. And there is a recommendation to Council there that the working group recommends that Council does not proceed with the granite plaques project at this stage. So I'd like to move. Councillor Lovett.
I'll move that.
Seconded, Councillor Brown. Open for discussion. Debate. Councillor Cameron.
The salient part of that is at this stage, so we feel we haven't really nutted out if and where the granite plaques would go and what the content would be. And we went to the Historical Society where ex-councillor Wilson Senior is president, and he gave some comment that we didn't really have the support of that group either at the moment. So we've just sort of laid it aside to see what can happen later on. So it's at the stage is the point of that motion.
I must just have a question for the committee. The time capsule says is nearing completion. It would be better if that capsule was completed.
It'll near completion until it'll be completed when we get the newspaper articles.
That's the only thing that's left.
Yeah, and I think the grains are still in the fridge. Yeah, so we don't want to get them all out. It's finished essentially. The boxes are all done, and they're in situ over at the museum, all waiting for. It's ready to go, but with just a few things.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can I just make a comment to try and get information on the grains that are...
We've still got a motion on the table
Oh,
for
okay.
the working group recommends does not proceed with the granite plaques. So we're debating that at the moment, at this stage. So I'll put that motion. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Councillor Lovett, have you got a comment on the minutes?
Just going back to the time capsule here, I've got the grains, but trying to get information on hectareage and tonnage of grains in Mid-Canterbury is really hard to do because they're firms competing with each other. So I'm still trying to progress that the best I can.
Would an industry body be better to find that information from? Not the firms themselves, but the higher level who levy. The levies are collected on all grains, so surely they must know what is growing, you would think. Yep. Item number 10, policy on rates for emission, including on Māori land, Māori freehold land. Welcome, Mark Tabia. Is there anything further you'd like to add to your report?
Nothing further for this one.
Any questions, councillors?
Yep, I'll do that question. Yep. How much Māori freehold land do we have in our district?
It's fairly low. I think there's about 4 properties that have been identified at this point. But in terms of why it's in the policy, there is a legal requirement to consider it.
Councillor Cameron?
This is on page 37, the rates for emission for separately inhabited dwellings occupied by a dependent family member. And I recall we had a chat about this at a workshop or something at some stage. when we're looking at, like, for example, Haven Housing or other charitable organisations that have multiple units, would that be under the revenue and financing policy, or would that be under the rates remission policy?
Leanne?
Through the chair, that is through the rates remission policy.
So, can I ask additional question, please?
Yes.
So, when we're looking, say, for example, Haven Housing, they submitted in the long-term plan of the cost of the rates was taking up a significant chunk of their rental revenue. Does that, how are we dealing with that in this policy? Can you help me understand that?
Through the chair, that is dealt with through the rates remission policies, and they have applied for a community rates remission on that property.
Can I ask another question? Oh, well.
Yeah.
So does that mean, like, I don't know how many homes are there, say there's 20 homes there, do they get the whole lot remitted, or how does, can you just elaborate a wee bit on how that works, please?
So just say that this is the rates remission policy we're doing.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I brought it
exactly.
up. Yeah.
I wasn't hearing that from over the back, I think.
Sorry,
Yeah.
through the chair. So they receive their remissions based on exactly on this policy, and acquire 50% on. I'm just trying to find it to refresh myself. Pretty much just about every one of the activities except for, I want to say, waste and I can't find my policy. Waste and water, I think. And they've been notified of how that has gone.
Okay. Okay.
Not sure if I'm answering.
So basically they're paying 100% of water and wastewater and 50% of the remainder of their rates as per the policy. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Righto. Thank you.
That other 50% of the rates is spread over everyone else because the dollars still need to be collected.
That's right.
Yeah.
One more question. Is that the same for, like, residential places like, Rosebank and Lockley and those places?
Through the chair, no, because they're not a SUIP. So the difference is, and this is where it was challenging for Haven Housing, is they have 17 individual units, and so they're deemed a SUIP, a separate inhabited property. Residential homes often have they have a bedroom, but they have shared services, so they're charged as one unit, and often they'll have more than one connection, so they'll be charged on those additional connections, such as an additional water connection.
Councillor Cameron?
Okay. Okay. So Haven Housing are considered a SUIP, or the SUIP, and the other places are not. Is that right? Is that essentially it? Yeah.
Correct.
And they have their own separate water connection, so that's why they don't get remitted on the water connection aspect of the rates. Correct.
They get remitted based on this policy, exactly as it is for this policy, for community and recreational facilities, I think is the one that they've come under.
No further questions? There's a recommendation there. The council approves the draft policy on rate remissions, including on Māori freehold land as proposed. Councillor Todd moved. Councillor Wilson seconded. Open for debate. If there be no debate, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. It's carried. Thank you. Next item is page 42, policy on rates postponement, including on Māori freehold land 24 to 27. Anything further to add, Mark?
No, nothing further to add.
Yep. Questions, councillors? If no questions, there's a motion there. Council approves draft policy on rates postponement, including on Māori freehold land as proposed. Have a mover?
I'll move that.
Councillor McMillan, seconder. Councillor Hooper. Open for debate. With there being no debate, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Carried. Thank you. Next item, number 12. Community engagement policy. I think once we've done this policy, there's a few more to go. You can welcome to stay when we go debate mode. Otherwise, you'll get very, very fit. Thank you. Anything further to add?
No, nothing further to add.
Thank you. Questions, councillors? If not, there's a recommendation there that council adopts the final community engagement policy 2024 as attached in Appendix 1 to be effective from 1st of July 2024. Someone like to move? Councillor Todd? Councillor Hooper? Open for debate.
Yep, Mr Mayor, I fully support this one. I think it showed out in our consultation process with the long-term plan. We had good engagement, and this will only improve that engagement, so everybody gets a say.
Correct. Councillor Lovett.
I'd just say it's probably one of the best engagements I've been involved with, and it was really nice to be out there talking with the community, often at their places of play and whatever, and we had good engagement, and I think it's been great.
No further speakers. I'll put the recommendation. All in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Item number 13. Adoption of the 2024 Development and Financial Contributions Policy. Any further to add, Mark? Richard?
Just a note, I guess, a couple of minor adjustments that have been included as part of the report to do with the second bridge water main and Fairton adjustment.
Could you say that again? I just didn't quite hear it.
So there's a couple of adjustments that you'll note in the report to do with the second bridge water main in terms of including that as part of the capital work going forward and reflected through this policy, and the Fairton adjustment in terms of its connection now to Ashburton Water.
Could you just steer us to that,
Yep.
which page that would be on?
$75.
75.
75 clause 4, 3 and 4.
Got it. Further any questions, councillors? Councillor McMillan?
Thank you, through the chair. When I know that Mount Somers have got quite a huge increase in their development contributions going forward, and we decided that they wouldn't be capped, and probably I was expecting a wee bit of feedback from that community, but we didn't get a lot. How are those people advised going forward about that development, the amount that the development contribution narrows going forward? Because in the past we have had quite a few people coming back saying, I didn't know I had to pay that when I started building my house. Is that a question? It's not a policy question, sorry, but...
Would it appear on a limb, would it not?
Thank you, through the chair. So certainly we'll have the new DFC sitting up on our website as a fee and charge, so it'll be publicly available from the 1st of July. In terms of when you are purchasing land, Jane will correct me if I have this wrong, when I'm purchasing land you should always be getting a limb, and on that we'll make reference to the fact that there would be a DFC charge. It wouldn't have the specific numbers, but your lawyer should then be saying, okay, this is what it looks like. We could do a story in the media, but it's probably that ongoing build for when people are purchasing land. It's making sure they've done their due diligence.
Thank you. Another question, maybe for Jane. Is it, are they invoiced on that cost? Can they pay it off? Do they have to pay it all in one go?
Jane?
I'm honestly not sure. I'd have to check on that and ask. I know it's charged at the time of building consent, but I don't think they do have to pay it immediately. And just with the comment about the limb, one of the problems that we have and we are continually trying to address through education is that a lot of people think they don't need to get a limb for an empty piece of land. And so they are caught unawares when they build and then get a bill as part of the building consent fee for the development contributions. That's something we keep working with the industry on to try and get that message across.
Councillor Lovett.
Just asking, trying to find in here, businesses working from home or relocating because of economic times at the moment, do they get captured in this? You know, because often they're putting little buildings on and they're doing hairdressing or they're doing their workshops and stuff. Do they get captured or how do they get captured or they don't?
Different policy, is it?
They would get captured if working from home entailed them getting a building consent or a resource consent for change of use. If they didn't require a building consent, they wouldn't get captured.
They don't get captured.
Can I also respond to, may I, through the chair, respond to further to Councillor McMillan's question? We, at the moment, when a person applies for a building consent and their building consent is granted, we invoice them at that point. We would expect them to pay that, I think, within 2 months, and then we would take normal debt collection steps. I'm getting a nod, I think, from Mrs. McDonald. Not quite.
Not quite. Through the chair, we will do everything in our power to avoid taking someone's debt collection. If we can work out an arrangement, we will. But typically, they are expected to pay the 20th of the following month of date of issue, invoice issue.
There is also provision within your policy that they can approach council asking for deferred terms, but I think it's happened maybe 2 or 3 times in the 6 years I've been here.
Yep, further questions? Councillor Cameron.
Thank you. I'm just trying to find the Museum Art Gallery loan. It was in here under development contributions and now I cannot find it. Oh, here we are. Loan Ashburton Gallery and Heritage Centre. Year incurred 2025 amount. At the top, it's got design population 25
Page-
years.
what page
Oh,
are we?
beg your pardon, 107. Top of 107. Bottom of, 107. Development contribution Ashburton District Community Infrastructure.
The question is?
My question is, what does that mean? 40.060, is that design population? What does that mean?
Page 107.
So, a development contribution, as you understand, is about the growth component of a development.
Yeah.
So, what we've got in this policy is we assume that from the time it was born, the time it was built,
Yes.
until a period 25 years on from that,
Okay.
that's the period of growth it was built for, and that 40,000 odd figure is based on the population projections for Ashburton
For a
over
25
that
year.
25-year period.
Okay, I wondered that. Thank you.
Just one question. The Rakaia Wastewater, we're putting in a drying bed and spending several or some millions of dollars doing that. Yet it doesn't appear in a capital contribution. Should it or should it not?
It hasn't come in because what's intended to be built, initially at least, is sufficient capacity for the existing population, but this it's not intended initially to build for growth. My understanding is that that the intended solution is modular in nature, and that additional beds for growth could be built in future.
Can add on to it. That makes sense. Thank you. No further questions. There's a recommendation there that Council adopts the 2024 Development and Financial Contributions Policy. Councillor Cameron's moving. Councillor Lovett seconding. Open for debate. If not, I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Oh, Councillor Wilson, sorry. Councillor Wilson.
I note, and it's that we've got our water consumption of properties by function that last, which is off an Auckland data in 2004. And I see later in the meeting we have the Methven water meter trial come through. So hopefully by the next long-term plan we can have some more bespoke local data which we can put in there instead of Auckland data, which would be better for us to be able to manage our own water system.
Take note of that. No further speakers for or against. I'll put the recommendation. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is 14, Rate Areas Map Book 2024. Anything further to add to your report?
No, nothing further to add to this one.
Happy with the maps, councillors, extended areas. Councillor Lovett.
I've just been looking at the maps and they're just coloured blurbs there. Will you be identifying the boundaries on the roads and whether they take the whole road into consideration or do they finish at the middle line, especially going into election mode next year? We kind of need to know exactly where all those boundaries are, please, and make it really, really clear going forward. Is you able to do that for us?
Yeah, so I mean, this is basically based on the property boundaries, so it's not related to the electoral boundaries, if that's what you're referring to.
So electoral boundaries are different. They use roads, do they?
Yeah, I think they do in some circumstances, although it's not always roads. It could be rivers or different features of the landscape.
Yeah. Rivers. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, through the chair. So the proposed Methven Community Board boundaries that are in the representation review, they don't factor into this. They'll happen once that's passed, if it is.
That's correct. Yep.
Recommendation there.
I'm happy to move that.
Councillor Miller.
That the council approves rating boundary changes as proposed, that council adopt the rating areas map book 2024 enclosed as appendix 3.
Seconded, Councillor Brown. Seconded, Councillor Brown. Open for debate. Being done, all those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Item number 15, Revenue and Financing Policy. Anything further to add?
No, nothing further to add to this one either.
Questions? Councillor
Yeah, I've got a few questions, please. Is that okay? 4.2, unit of rating separately used or SUIPs, as we discussed in the earlier policy.
What page is that? 4.2?
128. I'm in the policy. Do you want to
Yep.
go?
Yep.
Are we up to that?
Yep.
You don't want to go through the preamble at the front. 128 of the policy. They're talking about the SUIPs again, which we've referred to in the last policy. I just want to understand that. Does the revenue and financing policy feed to the financial contributions policy, the other policy? Like, do you understand my question?
I think I do.
Leanne?
The term SUIP is a standardised term that is used across a number of our policies to identify a separate, I can't remember what the U stands for, inhabited property, and it is it will pop up in a number of places. It's a term that we use it's a formal definition that we use.
Yeah, that doesn't answer my question though, thank you. I'm really referring to, when you read this thing here, these SUIPs, they sound like would be the nursing home or the retirement villagey type situation. Are they all, because they'll all be on a single title, won't they? Like they'll all share a title, or do they have their own titles, those little houses in like Rosebank, for example? separate parts of a single business unit leased to multiple tenants, wouldn't they be a SUIP?
Through the chair, it depends on the actual building, on the physical building. So, for instance, you could have two residential buildings on one property, which would be 2 SUIPs. Alternatively, you could have one large house on the property and you may have a tenant or a boarder, but it's still only the one property.
Yeah. I'm not bringing it up to understand the definition of a SUIP. I'm bringing it up to understand the definition of the rates for emissions and how do we come out to. I understand a SUIP. Well, no, I think I do. But that's okay. I can deal with that later. I'll move on to my next question. Can I ask my next question, please, Ms. Mayor? Page 132, 7.3, investment income. Interest and investment returns from council's forestry and property investments are used to offset the general rate, the UAGC, and the targeted CV for roading. Now that presumably offsets the cost today, so it takes into no consideration for the future costs for future generations coming up. Because obviously in this policy we have to consider the longevity, for example, of Te Whare Whakatiri. It's going to be used in another generation by our grandchildren. So when I have mentioned what are we doing with our sales and if we have any extra left over of forestry or whatever reserves we have, they go in to offset the rates, and I understand that's rightly so because we're incurring a debt on those otherwise. But is this the time, because I've been told to bring up an investment strategy when we're looking at the revenue and financing policy, is this the time to discuss whether or not we implement one, or do we have an investment strategy for excess dollars that cannot be currently spent or put into reserve? Do we have a policy other than just putting them into the reserve?
Yes, we do.
And where is that?
The
Treasury.
Treasury policy.
Okay. Which I think essentially says we put it into reserves.
Well, it defines the risk that council is prepared to take with public money as much as anything. So it'll talk about investing it in particular things that have a particular security or credit rating, what sort of guidelines, how to spread it across various institutions so you don't have all your investments with one institution, for example. So that Treasury policy is dictating the manner in which we invest whatever cash essentially we would have available to invest.
So when we discuss the treasury, this is a little bit off label, Mr. Mayor, but when we discuss the Treasury policy next time, I can bring up, I would like an investment policy as to just some review of that Treasury policy and some modification of that, if and when.
Yes, if I read your line of questioning correctly, I think what you're saying is you would like to have council consider the range of things that we are able to invest in through the Treasury policy. And that will essentially be council's appetite for risk. So do you put them in the bank with a particular security rating, or do you buy gold, or do you play on the share market, or do you buy rental properties or whatever, all of which have different risk profiles and risk ratings, and that's where that's all contained in the Treasury policy.
Okay. I'm going to put that aside and make a mental note and bring that
Just
up.
on that, when do we review the Treasury policy last, and when is it due next?
Thank you. Through the chair, we reviewed it in December 2023. I've just sent you a link to the policy.
Thank you. So we can.
When's it due for review next, Tony?
Every 3 years, so it will be by December 2026, or as required.
Thank you. Now can I go into public conveniences?
Yeah, is it on this
Page 168.
Yes.
Community service, public convenience, all residents, blah, blah, blah. Community-wide benefit, 80%, group benefit, 20%. So when you're looking at businesses in Ashburton, Methven and Rakaia pay for the public conveniences, are the Rakaia people paying for the Rakaia public conveniences, the Methven businesses paying for the Methven public conveniences, and the Ashburton businesses paying for the Ashburton, or are all the businesses paying for all the public conveniences?
The latter. All businesses would pay that portion.
So Paper Plus down here in Ashburton's paying for the Rakaia and the Methven public conveniences.
As is a Rakaia business and a Methven business paying for the Ashburton.
Yeah, that's right. I'm just trying to ascertain what the truth is about
All
that,
in the
what the
group.
deal is. I've got more, but I'll just. Is that not right, Liz? I'll hang up. I've got another question, but I'll wait.
They only pay 20% of it. The other 80% is community-wide benefit. There's a portion paid by those businesses. The other 80% is picked up by general rate, I think, is it?
UAGC, yeah.
UAGC, right.
I mean, it's targeted rate as in the amenity rating for Ashburton, Methven and Rakai.
Yeah. Councillor Wilson.
164, the airport, economic development airport, Ashburton Airport, we had many submissions on it, and we changed the way we were going to charge fees quite substantially. Will the funding sources of operating expenditure income, will they still fit within those, the criteria we've set out there, as opposed to, 60, 70 general rate, 30, 40 fees and charges?
Okay, Leanne.
Through the chair, yes, if you recall, we actually had to change the band for the policy to ensure it did fit.
Councillor Wilson. Oh, no. Councillor Cameron.
Dogs.
Page.
101, dogs, what page is it? 183, please. Regulatory services, animal control. Private benefit, 95%. Who creates a need? Irresponsible dog owners create a higher demand. Community-wide benefit, 5%. Why don't we charge, for the sake of 5%, why don't we make it clear that the people that are creating the demand should pay the cost and make it 100%?
Who's Jane to do it?
Through you, Mr Mayor, that 5% is for stock control.
Ah,
Sheep or a cow or an emu or a chicken.
okay. Thank you.
Further questions? Nope. There's a recommendation there. Council confirms the revenue and financing policy and rating system for the stock water management. And all those points. That Council adopt the revenue financing policy 24 to 34 as documented in Appendix 2. Is it a mover?
I'd like to move.
Councillor Lovett, seconder. Councillor Todd. Open for debate. Where does that come up? We're not there yet, are we?
I'll go anyway.
Okay, Councillor Wilson.
Yep. I note in district stock water that with the potential change to closing it does change the way we charge it, but that hopefully will drive the outcome we're looking for, where we change from because as things shut, this funding source, it has a distortion. The more we shut, the higher the rate of the races go, so we have to perhaps give people an option. So hopefully that's where the motion we have later on does make some sense of this policy.
Any further debate? I'll put the recommendation. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Next one, item number 16, long-term plan. Anything further to add? This is the big document. Been working on for some time.
Thank you.
Tony.
Through the chair, yes. Just to add, I've dropped a piece of paper onto your desks at lunchtime, and it refers to stock water. This sits in the long-term plan, and it's how the stock water is rated. You'll see on that document, it sits in volume 2 on page 62 on Stella. You'll see on the piece of paper that I've handed out to you, there are 3 words in red that we need to add into the long-term plan just to make it align with the rates resolution. And that is that the minimum charge is for 246 metres, and there'll be a per metre charge where the length is over 246 metres. So just to make it crystal clear.
So adding those words in, are we all aware of that? Yep. Questions? No questions? There's a recommendation there.
Hang on later.
Councillor Lovett.
I was just trying to find it. You're taking questions on things here. I was going to go to Ocean View Farm on it's volume 2, page 132. Just some of the narrative around it. If you go into the document, that we haven't made a decision yet on the irrigation type, what we're doing down there, and volume 2 it actually kind of says what we're doing.
Does it have three options there? They do more, do less, or do the same?
And I was wondering in the position it's sitting whether it should have been mentioned, because we
Which bit mentioned?
it's page 1. We'll go back to it. 138.
137 Stella list.
Yeah, on volume 2, when we spelt out, I meant to bring it up. Oh, Richard might, I was talking with Richard about it. Oh, I can't get there fast enough. Because we're talking about, we're having a workshop next in August on it, and we've made no decisions on what type of irrigation, and in the report here it talks about the pop-up, the high-rise sprinklers, and we haven't, it's not recommending the pivots. It kind of points away from it.
There's
So
a point
maybe if
number
I
3,
can
called
clarify.
pivots.
If I can clarify that one through the chair. So, I mean, this is part of the infrastructure strategy. So this is one of the issues identified for the wastewater area, and really what it's identifying other potential options to help address that issue. At this stage, made a final decision on what that would be.
Yeah, it's just
And it's
a wee
not
bit of
currently
narrative
part of the LTP.
I didn't like,
Any further questions?
Maybe if I can just possibly just point out that obviously the LTP has been through an audit process as it's required to under law. That process has concluded, and as you would have seen from what's been put up on Stella, we received an unqualified opinion. So that's further confidence for our community in the process and the document that's been produced.
We'll take if finished questions over, we'll take a move in a second.
I'm happy to move that we
Councillor.
adopt the long-term plan.
Councillor McMillan and Councillor Cameron seconded. Open for debate. Councillor Wilson.
I'm happy to support the long-term plan, but I think we need to realise that with the uncertainty around where our water assets will end up, and with the stock water closures, there are things that are out after year 4 that we've had to not guess at, take an educated opinion on rather than know exactly what it could be. So we've have a chance in the next long-term plan to make those more educated to what they are now. So there is a few things there, but most of those we will be able to, when we get more information, they will come right. A good example is water metering. Another example is what happens to the stock water costs. If the stock water is all gone, where do those costs lie? But we don't know that yet until we get to that point.
Councillor McMillan.
Thank you. This has been a long process, and I think it's been done very well this time round, especially the consultation document, and then that whole month of going around to the community and consulting, and probably the record number of submissions we had come through. I read here 88 people coming to speak to our at our hearings. The sort of 4 days of hearings, the 4 days of deliberations, nothing was taken lightly. I think we considered everything, and we now have a long-term plan to go into the future. So, it was a long process, tiring one, but I think we did very well.
Yes, before I go to Councillor Cameron, I'll say this was a mammoth piece of work. Started 18 months ago. And it was a key council planning document for the next 10 years. It's been extensively consulted on through the Five for Our Future long-term plan consultation round. We have a clear audit opinion on it, which is good. We had 6 community meetings, 6 pop-up events, 4 Talk It Up Tuesdays, 11 community group and high school visit presentations, 3 road shows including Saturday sausage sizzles, and 1,522 submissions were received. We consulted our community very, very well, and we heard that, and as the Deputy Mayor mentioned, a number of speakers who actually came and talked to us as well showed that we were engaged, and we were assisted to do that by the capable staff who helped us get through that process and ended up with this document. So I'd like to thank you, the staff, the councillors and the community for your involvement in this plan. We now have planned for 10 years and 3 years in detail. So that is a excellent result we're at today. Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, and I'd just like to endorse what the Mayor and Deputy Mayor said, and I found those pre-engagement meetings particularly useful to refresh our background knowledge and things, and also to engage key groups of the community to give us sort of a start, if you like. So congratulations to you all at the end of the table, because I know it was very exhausting for you all. And the other thing I want to urge our community is that everybody engaged a lot with the council, and we really like that feedback. So the engagement doesn't have to stop because the long-term plan is over. You can continue to feedback and influence decisions on a daily, weekly, monthly basis through the various forums, and we've all got our contact details online, and we go to the Talk It Up Tuesday, and we're all around. So I know that we, I'm speaking on behalf of everybody, enjoyed the opportunity to talk to the community and would really welcome an ongoing dialogue with the community at any time on any topic, really. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. And also, I was remiss, when we were consulting, people were saying, some people said, you've already made your mind up, so there's no point. That was proven wrong. We changed some decisions on what our preferred option was. We changed some things. And one of those decisions was around the stock water. We're setting up a stock water group, which we'll do shortly, and to help when we exit stock water in 2027. That came out of the consultation process. We've added another $500,000 of unsubsidised roading, which also came out of the consultation process, which wasn't in the original plan, because we're hearing that the shingle roads needed more work done on them. So we have listened to the community and got to a good stage. So the recommendation was moved by Councillor McMillan, seconded by Councillor Cameron, and if there's no further debate, I'll put the motion. Put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. And the next part, 17, which follows on from the long-term plan, is the setting of the rates, which comes out of it. So welcome Erin and Leanne. Anything further to add?
Nothing further.
Questions, councillors? If there's no questions, I'll move the recommendation. The council sets the following rates under the Local Government Rating Act 2002 on the rating units in the district for the financial year commencing 1st July 2024 and ending on 30th of June 2025. Seconder, Councillor Bryant, open for debate. Councillor McMillan.
We had I think it was 9.8% rate rise when we first looked at this. It's gone up a little bit, and a lot of it was due to requests from the community. I know we had quite a few requests from Methven Community Board, which we have listened to as well. So overall, I think we've taken everything into consideration.
Thank you. And getting to the end of the taking the right of reply, the end of the long-term plan process, this is the next stage to set the rates, to collect the monies, to deliver on what we've said. So Hamish, you now have a budget, and you will have in about half a minute, which has come from the community. So we're asking you to implement this on our behalf with the dollars in the plan you have to keep this district thriving and being the place of lifestyles and opportunity. And our councillor role will proceed on monitoring the progress throughout the year. So I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Item number 18. Two, oh. Canterbury Climate Partnership Plan Feedback Phase 3. Anything further to add, Richard?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy to answer questions.
Just on page 217, Richard, at the top, bullet point 9, councillors invited to provide feedback on the narrative and design. Officers will take notes of your feedback at the meeting. Is that the meeting we're at now? Is that the meeting you're referring to?
Yes.
Right. Councillor Cameron.
A couple of comments or a couple of questions. It would be nice to have like that beautiful bridge there on the front page, page 221 of the plan. Where is it? It would be nice to have one over the Ashburton River as an aside. But when I look, the time from the climate change plan, the time from the ADC staff involved, what is that in the future going forward? It talks about that in the plan, but it doesn't specify that. I see there's monies attached to the development progress of the plan.
We're still trying to clarify that. At this point, each of the 9 projects has a fairly high level project plan, and each of the projects will have an agency or agencies that lead the project, and one of their first tasks will be to do a more detailed scoping of the project and get a clearer handle on the level of in-kind contribution that's required. I've had some conversations internally with managers around the very high level plan, and we're conscious that this comes as on top of or part of Council's overall work program, and so it's going to be important for us and for all the councils that as those projects are scoped out, that they're deliverable and that they are delivered.
Another comment question. There's a lot of actions in the plan, which you've alluded to, Richard, and there's no time frame attached to the plan for those actions. So is that stage 2? It's got immediate and yeah.
On pages, I think it's 42 to 45, and 260. There's what we call an implementation overview, which gives, in broad terms, which actions are going to start in which year and when they're expected to be completed. But again, that those timeframes will need to be refined as the projects are scoped.
I've read it. It doesn't say on my one what year. It's got red, green, red, orange words, which mean very high urgency, medium urgency. But I cannot see where those are written down high urgency, 12 months or whatever.
Yeah. On page 262, you'll see what's in year 1, which is 24-25, what's in year 2, 25-26, and what's in year 3, 26-27.
Yeah, I'd ignored that because it's just got initiate, execute and complete maintenance. Is that supposed to be one big spreadsheet with the top line all joined up?
Yes, it is. If you read it with the 2
So
pages
read
next
it up
to
and
each
down.
other,
Okay.
then it's like looking at a A3.
Okay, got
Yeah,
it. Thank you.
is a little bit necessarily high level, is that there are 11 councils.
Just keep talking.
Councils around the region that
Push a button here. No, you're fine.
I think mine's gone back on. I'll go.
No, thank you. It's got 1.47 million, I think. No, is it? Yeah, $1,470,000 for the climate plan implemented over 3 years. So presumably, if it works. Rata, our 40,000 people, 36,000 people of $1.4 million would, as a proportion of the total, would that how that would work out? Or?
There is an established funding formula in Canterbury. I don't think it's strictly. Executive spoke about this at an earlier workshop and would be better position than I am to elaborate on that formula.
Yes, so it's a historical formula, largely based on population, but it's stood the test of time for some time. So we don't use an up-to-date divisor every time we come to do something. So Ashburton's share of any regional initiative in this regard is 10.3%, and we continue to share costs in that fashion until that otherwise changes.
Thank you. I just wanted to give an update because I'm on the reference group for this, but unfortunately couldn't make the last meeting because it clashed with the citizenship ceremony, but have been sent all the documents, and we have got another meeting next week via Zoom to go through this. So I think everything was depending on each council's LTPs and then where to go forward from that. So possibly get a clearer view next week on that, and I'm happy to report back. And obviously Richard's involved in the staff group as well.
I was just, having a read of it. There's a lot of talk, emissions and biodiversity and climate and carbon and that. Within all this, are we actually going to do some work, some actual studies on possible causes of climate change? Because I know in Europe they're doing studies on subdivisions of rural, the urban spread and the colours of all the dark painted roofs and walls and what's that doing to the local climate and stuff. Is any of that going to lead on from all this, or are we just looking at the end? The mess, I guess at the end of it, we're not going to look at possible causes or put into research.
Hamish?
Through Mr. Chair, I think you can look at the actions that are in this plan beginning on page 261, and those are broken into the identification of the action, the primary action, and then the sub-action. So those are the things that will be being done. If examination or research onto the colours of subdivisions is not in there, then you can assume that won't be being done. So these are the things that this plan has highlighted and envisages.
So where does that become part of the overall? We're looking at this only in one section, but you've got to kind of look at the people, what man's doing to our climate change. And we know there's cloud seeding going on around, a lot of people are asking, wanting a lot more information. We're kind of litigating at the end, with the plantings and everything else, but it would be good to sort of get your teeth into and make sure these studies are happening somewhere to feed back.
Sorry, Ms. Smith, there are a lot of references to collating data, updating assessments, developing best practice, working with others, developing a plan. So there's a whole host of actions being contemplated by this plan, but I have no doubt that it'll be a living document, and the plan will evolve as things are discovered and new information becomes available. But the things, I think, concentrate on what this plan says we are going to do, and that's what it's going to do. And if there's other ideas, they need to percolate up through, perhaps through our representative on the working group, and over time they will start to find favour if they have merit or have support from enough people. But there's not a separate piece of work going on for some of those more specific ideas that isn't encapsulated by this work plan.
I was just asked to bring it up. Where is it happening?
If that research is happening over in Europe, so well, it must be relevant to here because it's part of the world. So no point us doing it if they're doing it. Yeah, you mentioned that it was happening over there, so I assume it is. Yeah. Any further questions? If not, there's a recommendation there. So I'd like to move. Councillor Cameron. And bullet points 1, 2 and 3 you're moving. Councillor Hooper seconded. Open for debate. Councillor Wilson.
Yep. I'm not a climate change denier. I do believe in it, but I also believe that we have to work proactively with our community, and that means all parts of our community, farmers and greenies or biodiversity people, but not at the expense of our economy and our prosperity, because Mid-Canterbury is slightly different to the bigger Christchurch, so we have to make sure that we push our community's view, not just go along with the bandwagon of everybody else.
Councillor.
Yeah, I speak in support of this, and just saying there are a lot of different views around the table at those reference group meetings, so everyone's having their say.
And you're representing, around that group is representing Canterbury, so which is good, and having different views is also healthy. Speakers for or against the motion, put it all in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Okay. Thank you. Next on to item number 19, land classification program approvals following public notification, and we have Nikki Malone on Teams joining us. Welcome, Nikki. Can you hear us? Nikki, you are on mute, so can you hear us?
Who's on mute? She's on mute. She's on mute. See how I got on the screen. Vicky's on mute. Yeah. I think Foreign Council is our assistants. They don't think this afternoon. I don't think she's on mute.
Nikki, can you hear us yet?
I couldn't before, I could just now.
Oh,
Kia ora.
Okay.
Can I try through my mic? Can you hear us now, Nikki?
Can you hear us?
On and off, it's a bit tricky. I can't hear.
Hear us now, Nikki?
Yes, I can.
Okay, we'll progress, and if we cut in or out, Ian Slope is here who'll help out as well.
Yeah.
Actually, there may be a phone call coming moment as well. So, yes.
Thank you, Mr Mayor and councillors. If we need Nikki, I'll dial her in on the phone and we can clarify anything that may be required. So just to present the report to you, this follows the last public consultation for the classifications of a selection of reserves. Again, it's a fairly couple of changes in it where we've had a couple of items that have changed through further information coming to light. A couple of items there where we are asking for a rescinding of the initial resolution, and then it'll go back to the classification, which is slightly different to what was initially forecast to be. So we've got a suite of recommendations there, and take the report as read, and we are happy to answer any questions.
I've got a question, thank you. Just on number 6 of the recommendation regarding revoking the reserve classification program for George Glassy Park and the Methven Cemetery, and I think I found it on page 209, the bottom of that has some information, but what happens to those areas with plantings, with anything that's been added to it, if it's not classified as reserve? How does that leave that plot of land going forward?
Through the chair, good question. What it actually means is nothing changes in terms of what the public see, what the public can use the site for. The custom and practice shall prevail. The issue that we've got with the George Glassy Park is there was, back in the 1960s when the subdivision was done of the adjacent lands, there was a tiny section of approximately 17 square metres that was left basically in no man's land but on a private title, so we now can't go ahead and classify that since we don't legally own it and have the vested interest in it. So it's an area that's on the southern side. It's mainly concrete footpath and it ends in a wee triangle, but for all intent and purpose it is something that we will flag through this process, and if we do have the resources going forward, it has to go through the Public Works Act to actually get it back, given the passage of time, to get it back into council ownership. So at that point we could vest it. So it'll be one of those ones that we flag. It's something that we didn't know, that we do know now, and we can deal with it in due course when funding, time and capacity allows. In terms of the Methven Cemetery, there's still some work going on with Nikki and the Department of Conservation in the background there just to seek the clarification. So in terms of the track, the planting and our future use and intentions for the site, that won't change. It's just simply in the background a legal mechanism that's not quite as it should be. I can see Nikki nodding, so I'm guessing I've got that about right.
Thank you.
Well done. Councillor Brown.
Yeah, sorry, it was exactly the same question.
Okay, thanks. Reserve management plans are out for consultation at the moment. So how is this different to them?
Through the chair, so this is the classification, so the reserves that we are consulting on in terms of what their purpose and intent and use will be. This is the background information that sets the classification for the use and the purpose of the site. It's all governed within the Reserves Act in terms of a classification being is its purpose, recreation or scientific and so on. So that's a separate parcel of work, although it's intrinsically linked. It is a separate process in terms of the Act.
Councillor Hill?
Yeah, through the chair, just back on my previous questions, could that be reclassified in the future, those?
Through the chair, most definitely. So once we get the answers and we go through a process, get it into squarely either a clear vesting in the council or ownership in the council, then at that point when we update the process and go through updating the reserve management plans at the subsequent iteration, at that point in time we can go back through this process and get that aligned.
Yeah, oh Jesus. Put your hand up. No more questions? Not sure if he is.
I do apologise, Council.
That's right.
Sound system's hopeless.
Further questions? If not, there's a recommendation there. Someone like to move? Councillor Wilson. Councillor Brown.
Oh, that works.
Big don't. Councillor Miller.
Yeah, thank you. Working now. I support this. I think there's been a lot of work done over quite a few months to get all this, and it's great that we have some clarification on some areas that we didn't know about in the past. So it's brought some things up. So yeah, happy to support.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, staff who were involved. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Right. Item number 20, appointment of alternate local controllers and alternative recovery managers. Jane, welcome. Anything further to add, Jane? It looks fairly straightforward.
Yeah, I was just going to add that this is part of an ongoing program that our emergency management officer has been very proactive with to make sure we've got as strong a pool as possible for if and when we have emergencies, and that if this is adopted today, we'll then have 5 recovery managers and 6 controllers, which is a far cry from when I started here. We had 0 recovery managers, 1 controller who worked full-time for somebody else. So I think Jim's done a sterling job.
And if this recommendation is passed today, this will head up to the Civil Defence Group.
That's right, it'll go to
Controllers
group for final approval, yes.
Yeah. And I'm sure the Gisborne and around there will be in full steam today for what's, haven't heard an update since this morning, but they've had a lot of rain up there and a lot of flooding, so they're not as good a space as they were the day before yesterday.
Try it again. What is the difference?
Between what, sorry? Oh, the recovery manager. The recovery manager, excuse me, is involved in, after the event, getting all the different support in place that people need during the recovery phase. The controller is the one that actually manages during the event.
Both very important positions. Councillor,
am I working? I'd like to, if there's no other questions, I'd like to move the recommendation, please.
Moved Councillor Cameron, seconded Councillor Lovett. Open for debate. You speak. Yep.
I just think it's a great move. We've got a wonderful team here, and Jim's doing a fantastic job joining up all, the whole community, and we're lucky to have him. Yeah.
Any further speakers for or against? I put the recommendation. All in favour, please say aye. Carried. Thank you, Jane. Item number 21, naming of roads, Stroh and Fields. You again, Jane?
That's me again. There's no Ian today.
Right. Anything further to add?
No, thank you.
Questions? Councillor Brown. Oh, yeah.
I have a question, if that's
Question,
okay,
Councillor
Mr.
Bill.
Mayor, through the chair. So normally we get 2 or 3 names to, or the developer puts 2 or 3 names forwards and gives us a bit of an understanding on why they were named that. Is there, will we normally have that, or is
yes?
we've just got the one name this time?
No, they gave us 3 names.
Oh, did it? Sorry.
Yep. And
Apologies.
Abbott Place, Buxton Place, and Farnham Place, and yeah, I'm just trying to think.
Sorry, I did see that, and I
page 290.
Yep.
Yep.
And I've jumped the gun. Sorry.
Councillor Cameron.
Thank you. We have named some roads in the Strohan Fields development previously. Is this a new road that has only recently sort of been opened up, so to speak?
Yes, what tends to happen is that as they develop further stages, and this is a stage subdivision, then more road names will come forward with each stage of the subdivision as it's developed.
So what stage is this of the stages?
I don't know.
But you could find out and let Councillor Cameron know if there's more stages coming or proposed. That's right. That's right. No further questions? A mover of the recommendation. Councillor Cameron, seconded Councillor Todd. Thanks, Jane. I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Item number 22, gift to the Civic Arts Collection.
Hi, through the chair, I'd just like to introduce some people here today, of which you have met Shireen, Shireen Art Gallery and Museum Director previously many times, and you may not have met Hannah Herbert of this report, and also has had a lot to do with regards to receiving this gift and the process.
Sarah, for introducing. Welcome, Hannah. Welcome to the meeting, Sharon. Anything further to add to your report? It's quite.
Nothing further to add.
No, it's a good
you.
report. Thank you. And this is the gifting of a piece of art. Picture of the art. Any questions? Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, and through the chair. This is a very generous gift. What?
Through the chair, we were first alerted to the painting and the desire for Mr. Argyle to gift it to the Civic Art Collection through the Mayor. He had made contact through the Mayor, and myself and Mayor Brown went and saw the work.
He thought he was finished. Council's art collection, so hence that's why he's offered to gift it. I see talk about it needs a new frame. Not being an arty person, it looks like it has a frame. So what's wrong with the frame it has?
Through the chair, it is not up to archival standards, so it needs to be rematted and reframed.
Thank you, Councillor Cameron.
Do you do that in house, or do you have to send that out, or do you have the?
Through the chair, we send it to City Art Depot, which is in Christchurch.
Oh, okay. Is there anybody local that can do that? Or?
It's our preferred supplier for that. That do conservation standard framing.
Okay, so we don't do that type of standard in Ashburton, not to your knowledge.
Through the chair, we do. There are local framers that will do some of the jobs for the gallery and museum and for the Civic Art Collection. When we are looking at getting museum glass and some archival advice, we tend to go to specialists, and this will be one of those works that will go up there. Okay. We've noted that there's just a little bit of signs of aging on the paper, so we would like to get some advice on the care of that long term. Okay. And just to add, because the work will potentially be displayed here in this building, we do require museum level grade glass on the work, because there's quite a lot of light in this building, so it's just an added protection that we add that glass in.
That'll be one, so everybody can enjoy it then, it'll be, thank you.
Where do you propose to display it in this building, and when do you think you'll be doing that?
Through the chair, well, we do have a commitment to council to change some of the works inside this building, and the works that are on display here are part of the Civic Art Collection. So it will probably be part of our changeover in this site, either in the library or in some of the offices. We don't have a plan at this stage for this particular work, but you will be seeing it.
Yeah. How often do you change over?
We do have a commitment to look at changing the artworks over every 6 to 8 months, but that really just depends on our resourcing and what competes essentially with our exhibition programs back in the Art Gallery and Museum, but we will be changing them.
Okay. No further questions. There's Sarah?
I was just going to say it's likely to be a rotational change whereby we'll do one particular area at a time as opposed to every painting changing on within close proximity to each other, to spread it out just so that it can be done as business as usual within existing resources.
Thank you. Councillor McMillan?
Thank you. I do have a question now through the chair. Is there any artwork proposed to go on in Hinepaka, or I know we're waiting for the King's portrait to be sent to us, but is there any other artwork?
Through the chair, there was a bit of discussion about artworks being hung on the beach, Maple Beach panelling.
Okay, yeah.
And the fact that we do use a bit of hardware, like we will be, screwing the artworks to the wall, essentially, so they're locked in the public spaces. At the time of consultation with the architects, it was deemed not a good avenue to follow because of the rate at which we would change them, and we can't actually repair the Maple Beach panelling.
No further questions. We have a recommendation there. The council accepts the untitled drawing created by Cuthbert Denham into the Civic Art Collection. I'll move. Councillor McMillan seconded. Thank you. Put the motion, all in favour, please say aye. It's carried, thank you. Just think Sharon, if the Mayor sent a letter of thanks to Mr Argyle for the donation of the artworks. We could arrange that, yeah. Thank you. Thanks. 23, the Upper Hakatere Reserve. Okay. Neil, Leanne, anything further to add to your report?
Just to mention, this is a recommendation from the working group that was formed. Unfortunately, our chair, Councillor Ellis, isn't here, but there are two other members here who could perhaps answer some questions.
And that was Councillor Wilson and Todd.
Wilson and Todd, yep.
Thank you. Questions? No questions. That's just on question page 298.8. Open spaces will arrange for an additional, looks like there's a word missing, to be placed at the entrance.
Through the chair, apologies. I think that was my misplacement, but it's for an additional sign. So what we're hoping to do is stop the heavy vehicles going up to the top.
So sign should be in there. I thought it was that.
Apologies.
Yep. Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So, as I understood it, when the group delegates from the Hakatere community came up and presented to us, they were disappointed that you could not access the top site for picnicking and enjoying and recreation because of the parking situation. Have I summarised that pretty much correctly?
Correct. They were concerned at the parking because they felt they couldn't park close enough and their wheels were slightly on the road. So that's why the party has recommended moving the bollards.
So the bollards are being moved, but people still cannot camp at the top site.
Correct.
So that was the working group's assessment, was that because they wouldn't mind camping up there as well. So they still cannot camp, but the bollards have been removed. So how many people can park up there now?
The bollards are just going to be relocated just to allow a little bit more space on the side of the road so cars can park there.
How much, Mr. Race?
Oh, it's an extra 2 metres or so, depending, you'll see, it's sort of a strip.
There's
So-
a picture. There's a
You'll see the
Oh, there's a
photo on,
picture.
yes.
It's 303.
303.
Page 303.
Okay. Oh, wow. Thank you.
Councillor Hooper.
Thank you. I see we had some further correspondence from Carol and Tracy. I take it they reside closer to where the picnicking area sort of was? Or it is?
Through the chair, correct, they live on that upper Hakatiri, and they did have a number of people sign their correspondence, but we've redacted those names.
Further questions? So I think the working group has done a successful job in getting a solution here, which always is better than the alternative of no solution. But so there's a recommendation there, Councillor Lovett.
I'd actually like to move it, as being the Eastern Ward councillor. I've been down there a few times over the years with concerns over this, and the other day we put the bollards in and tried to shift them a little bit, and I really think this is a good resolution, and to allow cars to park a little bit closer on a better angle and things, and having no camping up there has really made a huge difference. People can go down there and picnic and they're not confronted with dogs and rubbish and everything else, and it's good to go down there and see the public going down there and enjoying the view and the ambience of the whole thing. And I think it is good.
Councillor Lovett moved, Councillor Wilson seconded. Speak to it.
Yes, I would like to. It's been it's quite a difficult decision to make, but we had to make a decision, and because some parts of the community wanted different things. So I hope the community down there can now put this behind them and move forward. Having the camping down the bottom, the council is putting a new set of toilets in there in 24-25, which will upgrade the experience of camping down there. So we hope that they can move forward, and there is room up the top to park. You can get very close to the picnic tables. You can't see the picnic tables on the map, so I think it's a good outcome, but I just implore the community to look past it and not keep fighting over it, is the word you'd use.
Thank you. Councillor Hooper.
Thank you. From the outside looking in, it looks like a fair compromise.
No further speakers for or against? I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. And just like to thank the working group for the work they've done. It does show that the working group was successful. Thank you. And next item is item number 24, Ashburton Contract Limited 24-25 Statement of Intent.
Sorry, excuse me, Ms. Smith, do we need to receive those working group minutes? They have been already. Thank you.
It's in the resolution, was it? I received them. Yeah, clause 1. Done. Ashburton Contracting Limited Statement of Intent. Leanne, welcome.
Thank you. This is purely procedural, that council's already reviewed this, but they must agree to it, and then we'll have it on our website.
No different to other years, apart from the dates?
No different to other years.
I'll move the recommendation. Anyone second? Councillor Todd. Open for debate. Councillor Wilson.
I note in performance measure number 6, they look to have a target of a 10% return before tax based on the rolling average of the past years on them, which is a good outcome for the community. If they can make a good return, that return goes back and reduces our rates to everybody, which is what we want to do. So that's the reason we own them. One of those reasons for return also helps our roading budgets and all our other things we do.
Yeah, ACL returning a profit is important to the council, and they do and have done every year that we have owned them, in my time here anyway, which is good, and those dollars do offset rates, so it feeds back to every ratepayer. Any further speakers for or against? I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Carried. Thank you. Move on to now the financial variance report. Page 325. Should we just go through it as we usually do, page by page? Start on page 328. 329. Councillor Wilson.
So, just around the variances, not the variances, sorry, the carryovers. When are the carryovers approved? They're not approved until
September.
September.
We've got to finalise all the accounts. We focus very much on getting the annual report done, and then we'll bring the carryovers for council's attention, usually in September.
The financial year finishes on Sunday, the 30th. Page 329, and I'm just looking at the rates revenue, and your 3 million variance short, I'd say. Yet all the rates have been collected for, or supposedly collected for the year. Do you see that changing? What's causing that?
This report is to May, so it's only 11 portions of the full year's rates reflected in this report.
You only put the rates out 4 times a year, and so the last rate instalment's out.
We report our rates in our monthly management reports as on an accrual basis, which means in proportion to the year how it falls.
Okay.
We spread the rates across the year because they are for the year's activity. So this is not cash received. This is income accrued.
Yep. Councillor Cameron.
Just on that. So say you've got everybody's rates, assuming everybody's paid. You've got 100% of the rates. You put them through. You ease them out per month, like what would be normal. Divide them by 12 and put them in the per month.
So they're invoiced 4 times a year.
Yeah.
And as when one quarter is invoiced, we report them in the relevant months where they fall within, say, if we... I'm just trying to think how to word that.
So July, August, September will reflect that first quarter over that July, August, September. Then we'll reflect the second quarter into our October, November, December. So we do our accrual-based reporting.
But everybody's rates go at the same time, don't they?
They do, but what we're saying is when we're reporting on a management space, a bit like prepaid subscriptions, in that respect, we report the amount that relates to the month that we're in. So if we put a big lump of rates in when it struck, like when the rates invoice goes out, you'd have all the income showing for that whole quarter in the first month of the quarter, so it would skew all the results. So we smooth them with...
so what do you do with the extra rate, if you like? Where does that go?
It sits in rates in advance until we recognise it in our ledger.
I don't understand the nuances of that, but I'm sure there's something.
I think, Councillor, just think of the income coming in across the whole year. So the rates is a yearly charge, and we reflect it as income for the year, and it's essentially, well, we might technically do it via instalments. We're putting in a monthly, 1/12 of the annual revenue goes in each month, essentially.
I have a question on capital income loans raised. You've only raised 4.2 million against a full year forecast of 51 million. Will you need to raise the other 46?
So with this, the loans at year end, when we fund what activities actually been happening in our books, so to speak, we will be putting in internal loans in the meantime until we need to raise the debt itself. So each year we can't say right on 30 June we're going to need all this stuff because of the way that all the invoices keep coming in until late July, we have to do it based on what we know once we've stopped things moving. So it's part of the annual reporting process.
Thank you. Page 330, 331. 332, 333. 334, 335. 336, 37. 338, 39. 340, 41. 342, 43. 340, 344, 345. Councillor Cameron.
I want to go back to 337, please, Ashburton Stormwater. There will be a favourable forecast of 200,000 from the budget for the design phase of the West Street treatment and attenuation project. Is that because we haven't designed it, I'm guessing? Is that right?
That's correct.
And is it a carryover or we're not designing it?
It's been pushed further out in the long-term plan, so it was one of the projects that we did push out a couple of years.
Did we push that out or was that pushed out? We will discuss that round here. Did we push it out, Neil?
Yes, it was done as part of the whole process. Yep.
345. There's a question on elderly persons housing and there's a delay in the construction of the units. Why is there a delay? It's been tendered and should be happening, I would have thought.
Through the chair, it is not delayed in the way that for the timing of the new contract and working with our affordable housing grant, it's delayed because originally when we set the annual plan we thought we would start much sooner. But that didn't happen. We didn't award the tender, all of that work we had to do. We were waiting on the grant to come through, etc. So our program of work with the company we've awarded to is on track, but the timing of the annual plan, when I had hoped would start it much sooner.
Yeah, I understand. Thank you. 346, 47. 48, 49. 350, 351. 352, 53. Neil, you've got correct.
If, through the chair, just going back to the West Street stormwater, you'll see on the earlier page where it talks about the potential carryover requests. That money there will be subject to a carryover request, and that's for the design of the West Street stormwater. So just to correct, the actual construction of it has been pushed out in the long-term plan, but this amount is for the design.
Councillor Cameron.
Thank you. Thanks, Neil. So the design will be done in advance, obviously, of the implementation. Is there a concern that the design is done too much in advance so that the plan is redundant or things change or the costings? I suppose the design doesn't include the costings. But shouldn't one follow as near as possible to the other?
It's really the design of stormwater quality control in wetlands, so it's not subject to change much, and it has already commenced.
Okay. Thank you.
354, 355. 356, 357. 358, 59. 360, 361. 362, 63. 364. Councillor Cameron.
We go back to operating expenditure on page, let me go back there, on page 353. We anticipated forecast full year 717, we're at 903. We go down to the explanation, whilst operating expenditure, where is it?
What page are you on? It's a different page to me, I think.
Yeah, you're going so fast, Neil, I'm just...
Oh, it doesn't matter how fast I go, it's just the page number I need.
353.
Yep. Compliance and development.
Resource consents.
It's not to my 353.
I was on my, it is on... It's on
354.
the table's on 353 on Stella, on my thing.
Okay. And the resource consents is on 354. With
The words are.
Yeah, right. Right. Yes. Up to date there.
Whilst income is on track, which is great, costs associated with applications are higher than anticipated. This includes time spent on appeals, staff costs and consultancy costs. Do we not charge that to the people that are applying for resource consent?
Jane?
We do where we can, but not everything can be on-charged. For example, appeals, there's quite a lot gone into that is particularly legal costs. You don't get that back.
Okay, so we can't use our own in-house legal person for that.
It's a specialised area, and so we still use Andrew Scoulter from Cavill Leach for our resource management legal advice.
Okay, so that's 133,000. I presume operating expenses that are gone on this. How do we budget for that? For operating expenses overrun in our day-to-day management?
Well, we can only do our best sort of educated guess. Things happen. You don't know when you're going to get an appeal. The appeal on the Methven Resort has cost us money. One thing about the budget for this group, though, is that there tend to be unders and overs. So you will see that, although that's not a good result, there are others where we have got a good result, and overall, you hope that you come out about right.
Okay, so that's what we sort of work on, because we're obviously not taking any more income in, because the rates are set and the rates come in. We're not getting any more fees and charges. So there's unders and overs, and at the end of the year, due to experience and your forecasting, and that it sort of works out. Is that what happens?
Well, sort of. The council is a relatively large, complex business, and just about every budget is under or over to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
So the work is to ensure that we are balanced within our budgets across the business. Where individual budgets ebb and flow, then that's what impacts your reserves. And so unders and overs come and go across the reserves accounts, which when you come to set budgets, you'll be reflecting transfers back from those that where they've been underspent, and they'll be required to essentially square off budgets that aren't. But there's a lot of moving parts in the overall budget, rather than just this resource consent one is under or over and requires some sort of budgetary intervention.
Yeah.
Page 364. Thank you. Could I have the recommendation there that Council receives the financial variance report for May 2024? Councillor Hooper, Councillor Todd, in debate. Put the motion, all in favour, please say aye. Thank you. Thank you. Just before afternoon tea, we'll move on to the item 26, Universal Metering Pilot Trial Methven Water Supply. Welcome, Andy and Chris. Anything further? Anything further to add to your report you've got there so far?
No, nothing further to add. Happy to answer questions.
Councillors, this could take some time, and we're time short today with the large agenda we have. So I'm thinking that we'll receive this report, and thank you for bringing it to us. And there's a lot of information in there which we'd like to get a better understanding on in the report, and we just haven't got the time today. So we would like to probably receive we've received the report and possibly let the matter lie on the table and pick it back up after we've had a workshop on the report, so we can get a better understanding of it. Councillor Cameron.
Is that a motion?
It is.
I'd like to second that motion, please.
Oh, okay. We've got a question first, so we'll hold and go to a question.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'm guessing this report, I was going to ask if this report could be shared with the Methven Community Board, because I think they would find it interesting. But if we're looking at going at a workshop, could the Community Board be invited to that workshop so that they get a really clear understanding of how this all works?
Yeah. I think Mr. Chair, I think it's a really good idea, and given this report has come to this meeting in public, I would propose that the workshop be a public workshop, so anyone can come in, the media can attend. It'll be fully available to the public as if we had discussed it at this council meeting, and an invitation to the community board would seem entirely appropriate.
Thank you.
Yep. We have a move and a seconder that we let the matter. We received the report. We'll let the matter lie on the table pending a workshop to be held in probably August it will be, and we'll bring this recommendation back to probably the last council meeting of August if everything goes to plan, and we will invite the Methven Community Board to come to that workshop as well. Moved and seconded, myself moved and Councillor Cameron seconded. Any further debate? So it's lying on the table, so there is no debate.
Not debate, but just a comment that we asked for this report to come, and there's a lot of information in there, and I think it's going to be really beneficial to work through it quite slowly and go through everything. So, yeah.
I'll put the motion on favour, please say aye. Against carried. Thank you, gentlemen, and we'll see you in August for a more in-depth working through of how the metering project in Methven has gone as the trial. Thank you. We might break there for a afternoon tea. We can have an extended afternoon tea as we're making good time. So we'll come back about 10 past. Thank you. back, everybody, and moving on to item number 27, which is councillor reports, and there's a report there from Councillor Wilson on the LNG Infrastructure Symposium, which was in Wellington, which him and I attended. Very good report, which was a very good symposium as well. Any questions of Councillor Wilson? Councillor McMillan.
Thank you. I've got a question through the chair. Just the LTSA, where you're saying that they're proposing to reduce the emergency roading subsidy from 20 to 10%. Was that just sort of ideas that they were coming out? Because I mean,
No, that's a much more formal position. We have fed a formal submission back to NZTA showing why that's such a bad idea. No, that's a formal proposal from the government to reduce the emergency funding.
Thanks.
So, Councillor Cameron.
Thanks for your report, Councillor Wilson. When I read from your report what Sir Bill English has to say, I get the feeling he's saying that we do the opposite, that New Zealand focuses on the opposite of that. We don't have enough action, we have too many nice words, we don't pay for skill and get the best people involved. Our relationships aren't up to muster and we're not transparent and honest. Is that essentially what he has to say?
No, he didn't say we weren't honest. He said that that's some of the key things that he believes we should try to attain. Some areas we do and some areas we don't. So I think it's more his philosophy is the word of how we can move forward. And those were some of the most critical things he felt that we should be focusing on. The speech was actually on the LGNZ thing. Very good speaker, very informative.
And Sir Bill English's presentation on the day, I've actually emailed you the link of it. It is well worth listening to. He made good sense in his speech.
I was just going to say, I tried to open it and couldn't.
Oh.
Clicking on it.
Yeah, I
wouldn't
did.
work.
You couldn't open it. Okay, I'll get. We'll make a note for Carol to send the link properly. Then it's probably.
It's also been shared via LGNZ through their newsletter as well.
Oh, come there. Yep. Okay, so that's probably the great, because you get those newsletters, it'll have a look there then. Yep. Thanks. No further questions to Councillor Wilson. Move on a seconder. Councillor Wilson moved. Councillor Cameron seconded. All those in favour, please say aye. Carried. 28. Item 28, the Mayor's report. And first one's the Stock Water Working Group. And we've adopted the long-term plan, so we can now set up that working group. There were 2 councillors to be appointed. I just have one question. Would the Mayor be ex officio on that group?
Not automatically, but if the Mayor wanted to be one of the 2 councillors, that would, and that was Council's will, that would be a way he could be involved.
Don't think he wants to be one of the 2 councillors. I do have another 2 councillors who do want to be on that group, but if he's ex officio, then that would solve that problem.
Or you just have 3 councillors on the working group.
Okay. Yeah. 2 councillors and the Mayor's ex officio.
However you describe it.
Yeah. I've 2 people who would like to be on that working group, Councillor Wilson and Councillor Cameron. Councillor Wilson representing rural and Councillor Cameron representing urban. So I'll move that we put those 2 on if there's a seconder. Councillor Todd. And the Mayor's ex officio. Any further debate?
Sorry, just probably a wee bit of a question, but though the minutes from the working group will come back through to council, or how will that work going forward, so that council gets a bit of an overview of what is actually happening?
Yeah. Tony.
Thank you, through the chair. So we haven't gone and got the detail nutted out just yet, but we're on the way. We've got some catch-ups with some key staff next week to get the ball rolling. We could set up terms of reference, which we do for our other working groups, which would then feed back through to council.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And through Mr Chair, we envisage representatives from Mana Whenua, we envisage representatives from the irrigation companies, staff, councillors. We do have a person in mind to sort of guide the work. If we can get him confirmed, then he would be part of that group as well. So
Federated Farmers, and probably a stock water user or 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's our intent.
Yeah. It'll be a reasonable size, but we don't want it too big, but we want to cover all bases at the same time to get a good outcome for exiting the water. The next item, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Next, LGNZ AGM, and there's a recommendation there the Mayor be authorised to vote on behalf of Council at the Local Government New Zealand AGM 2024. In the Mayor's absence, we could have either Councillor Wilson or Councillor Cameron, because they'll both be there, but we need to choose one to be the alternate presiding delegate. Does Councillor Wilson or Councillor Cameron have a preference in who would like to be the alternate?
You've got Councillor Wilson in the notes, and I'm very happy and confident Councillor Wilson will do the right thing. No, I'm happy for you to do it.
If it's required, if all going well, I'll be there, so I'll do the voting. So we'll leave Councillor Wilson there. A mover and a seconder. Councillor Todd, Councillor Cameron. Put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Carried. Thank you. We have another item 28.4, dog control hearing panel, and there's a recommendation there, and that panel needs to happen sooner rather than later. And with councillors being away in July, there are some councillors here, and I've discussed with Councillor McMillan, Cameron and Brahm, who will be here, could be on that hearing panel. So would someone like to move that? Probably not Councillor McMillan, who's going to chair.
No, I was just going to say I'm happy to chair if needed.
Yep, so Councillor McMillan's chair. Yep.
I'll move it.
Councillor Wilson moved and Councillor Hooper seconded that Councillor McMillan is the chair and Councillors Cameron and Brahm will be members of the hearing panel, and a regulatory will be in touch to go through the process, no doubt. I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Get carried. Thank you. Then there's another recommendation there, the Electricity Ashburton Shareholder Committee. There's two representatives that council appoint on that committee who are at the end of their term, and will need either new members or they get reappointed. So we're going through a recruitment process at the moment. It will be advertised in the newspaper, looking for applicants, and we need one more councillor to sit on that panel to choose the two applicants, and the incumbents have said that they will be reapplying, so which is good, and others can as well. And council appoints 3 to that committee, and Mr. David Ward is still there. He comes up, I think it's next year, 25. Yeah. So we have there's the recommendation there that the panel to consider applications for appointments to the Shareholders Committee consist of the Mayor, the Deputy Mayor and Councillor to be filled in, and the EA Shareholders Committee Chairman. Which councillor would like to assist with that? Councillor Brahm? Happy with that? I'll put, so we move in a seconder for that?
I'll move.
The seconder, Councillor Todd. Put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. It's carried. Thank you. Then there's another recommendation needed there on 28.6, the draft land transport rule, setting of speed limits, consultation. We had the workshop this morning on that. Submission will be going in and being crafted as we speak. And when that, we won't have a council meeting, so that needs to be approved by the Deputy Mayor. The recommendation, it'll be the Deputy Mayor and the Chief Executive be authorised to approve council submission on the draft land transport rule setting of speed limits rule 2024. So I'd like to move that. Councillor Hooper, Councillor Lovett, any debate? Put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Carried. Before any other questions of the Mayor's report, and we've done the recommendations. Councillor McMillan.
Through the chair, I'm just trying to find it, but we had the 4 monthly report from our GNZ that's attached there, and I just see there was something on the remits. So obviously there was a remit put forward from our council and you, Mr Mayor, regarding the driver licensing wait times, and I see that they were the remits had to be in by the 18th of June. I think that's what I read. Here it is, page 422. Have you heard that they hadn't had any remits when this report was circulated? So have you heard that ours has been accepted and
Yep,
there are others?
When Councillor Wilson and I were at the symposium, infrastructure symposium in Wellington, I was talking to them at LGNZ, and they had received it just that day, and it was number 2 remit that came in to them. They were expecting a flood of remits after that, but ours was number 2, so it has been received, and there's just been a little bit of work come back. They're just strengthening a few words in it for when it goes to government, to give it a bit more strength when it is passed and goes forward. So they're just massaging a little bit of wording on it for the AGM to strengthen it.
Thank you.
They're very happy they've got it.
I think that's all.
Nothing further on the Mayor's report. Your question? I'll move that we receive the Mayor's report. Second it. Councillor Brown. Put the motion on in favour, please say aye. It's carried. Thank you. I think that's taking us to the end of the open part of business. There's no extraordinary business. I'll move that we move into committee for second it. Councillor Wilson. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Jono.